on Spreaker, and off we go to the races. Yes, we do. And we'll bring up the music.
Artlist.io.
Here we go. All right, everybody. It's that time again. That's right, it's time to ponder. Welcome to Pondering. That's right. The crowd goes wild, and we pray that God approves.
Music license.
Yeah, we got the crack of thunder. That's good. This is Joel Rissinger. I'm your host with the Pondering podcast and radio program, a show where we ponder all things, and then we talk about them. What a concept, right? We discuss them, we think about them, we think out loud, and then we discuss all the things that we feel like we need to discuss. Things that are happening in the news, political things, religious things, biblical things and truths, because all of it really is from a biblical Christian perspective. We say that unashamedly, unabashedly, and unapologetically. We do it every Thursday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We do it live on Facebook. We do it live on Spreaker, and we have it available on demand from Spreaker 24/7, 365. And so, hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good week. We were away this past week up in upstate New York, Western New York, specifically doing some visits with pastors there. I am a field shepherd with Standing Stone Ministry, where I go and encourage, support, cheerlead, coach, and help pastors, ministry leaders, missionaries, etc. around the globe and around and on the fruited plain. And it's a blessing to do that. Karen and I got to visit with 3 different pastors and families, and then a couple of our supporters on our team. And then a 4th one we talked to, but he was kind of laid up. He blew out his Achilles, and so he was on pain meds and horizontal, so we didn't go over. We just talked to him on the phone. But we also got to connect with some family and camp in some beautiful places. And I'll tell you what, I got to recommend a couple things to you. We've been members of 1,000 Trails for a while, and we love them because there's just some great campgrounds that we can stay in free as part of our membership. But we also do some boondocking, and Plantation Hosts is a boondocking app that tells you different places you can stay. And we stayed with this awesome family in Herkimer who have dedicated this whole area to this little section of their farm to RVs and campers who want to come in. They have hookups if you want them. You don't have to have them. I think they charge $20 for the hookup if you want to do that. Otherwise, you just stay for free. And they do sell beef, and they have jam and honey and stuff that they make and sell, but it's not required that you buy that. I mean, we did. We won some of the jam. But it was just really cool. So I recommend that. Really, really good stuff. A lot happening in the news, a lot happening in our nation, a lot happening in the church as we kind of move forward. There's some hope for our country, and that I think people are waking up a little bit. We'll see how awake they are when the midterms come around. Looks like there could be a swing toward more conservative values, which I appreciate. Not interested in the political party stuff. I am interested in the values of being a little more biblical, conservative, and true in what we stand for and what we believe as a nation. And so there's some hope for that. There's some, possibilities. And so we're excited to see that. Supreme Court has made some rulings, as you know, I'm sure, that are very encouraging. You know about the Roe v. Wade reversal, but there's also a recent ruling in favor of a football coach who wants to and has had as his practice a prayer at the 50-yard line. Football games, I believe, after the game, with anyone who wanted to join him. And there was a move to shut that down. Now, before we even look at the ruling, which was basically in his favor, let me just say, how telling is it in terms of the evil of our culture when we assume that someone exercising their faith in a public way where someone else might see it is somehow a imposition, an insult, a trigger, something hurtful to people around them. It's amazing to me that our culture says that, believes that, but at the same time, we can have gay pride parades with men in G-strings dancing around and, mimicking sexual acts in parades in front of our kids, even at Disney World, for heaven's sakes. That's okay. That's not an imposition of values. That's not an insult. That's not an offense. But wow, someone prays at the 50-yard line at a football game. Ooh, that, and it's just so ridiculous, hypocritical, absurd. It's not logical. It's just, and the argument is, well, if someone sees it, then they feel they have to do it. That's why they shut down prayer in school, or a moment of silence in prayer, as we used to have when I was in school. I remember that. We'll now have 60 seconds for a moment of silence or silent prayer, and they would just be quiet for a minute. And if you didn't want to pray, you just stood there, thought about the day, take a quick nap, I guess. If you wanted to pray, you could. How did that hurt anyone? Well, what possible negative ramifications come from that? The same people that fight that will be all about Eastern New Age stuff and meditation, which is silence. But because they mention prayer, we can't have that. Oh my gosh, that could really damage some kid's psyche. And we've lost our collective minds in many ways. So it's good to see a reversal of some of that. It's good to see the Supreme Court coming back and saying, hey, no, that is not unconstitutional. That is not a lack of separation of church and state. Blah, 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 etc., etc., etc. So anyway, so what else is happening here? There are some rumbling out there that the president will face a primary challenge for the next presidential election. I'm amazed that they're even thinking about running him, or that he's even considering it. Honestly, just as a shepherd, as a care person, cares for people and has been a chaplain to the elderly, to seniors in his age group. The fact that his wife, who's a doctor, and others around him are letting him even be considered to run again for his own sake, let alone the nation or safety of the world as a whole, that to me is it's a shameful thing. He's clearly not capable of performing the duties of his office. He's clearly losing it, and he's 1 year into his term. So he finishes 3 more years, and then you're going to make him run again? Or let him run again if he thinks he should? I realize other people are pulling the strings. I know that's true, and it's pretty much been all but admitted, even by the left. But it's just cruel, I think. So I think the Democratic Party recognizes that, and so there's a little bit of a push to say, hey, let's not do this. Let's run somebody against him. And as much as they don't have a lot of strong candidates, it wouldn't take too much strength to beat him, because, again, it's pretty obvious to everyone, including his own party, that he's just not firing on all cylinders. By the way, we'd love to hear from you, your comments, your thoughts. I should have introduced that in the beginning here in the Pondering program. There's many ways you can do it. If you're on Spreaker or you have the Spreaker app, you can enter the chat there as we're live. You can also do the same on Facebook. Facebook Live here on the Pondering radio page. You can call us at 860-500-7163. That's always an option for you. What else? You can email joel@lifewaych.com, joel@lifeway, LIFEWAY.ch.com. You can text us. The text number is 860-500. Oops, that's not the text number. Sorry. The text number is 860-938-2725. 860-938-2725. And you can also write to us, Pondering Radio, 479 New Britain Avenue, Newington, Connecticut, 06111. We'd love to hear from you. Again, Christian talk, in essence. A talk show where we ponder things, we think them through. And that's the key, isn't it? I mean, so often in our culture, and the reason we refer to us losing our collective minds as we're not using our minds. We lose it. If you don't use it, you'll lose it, they say. We're not thinking things through. We just go with the emotion, the feeling, what seems to be woke and acceptable. That's what we say. That's what we do. That's what the talking heads do on the news. It's all about feelings and not about anything of substance. Form over substance. Feeling over substance. We need to think things through. We need to ponder. And then make decisions, and hopefully as Christians we do that based on biblical truth and values. So much to talk about. One of the international stories is that there are refugees crossing back into the Ukraine from some countries where they fled, and the question is that safe? Right? Is the timing appropriate? How's that going to work out for them? Is that a sign that the war may be over? I don't think it is. I think this is going to be a long, protracted, painful series of battles that will probably last for years. And maybe that's why people just saying, you know what, so what? I'll take my chances. It's my country. It's my home. I'm going to go, and whatever happens, happens. I don't know. So we can pray for the people in Ukraine, pray for the refugees coming back home, pray for peace. I don't know. It's and our focus now is on the home front. A lot of focus on January 6th, and I heard real interesting discussion yesterday by a former Secret Service agent who basically said that the report that the president, jumped forward out of his seat and tried to choke the driver to get him to go to the January 6th protest instead of going back to the residence or something, I don't know, that was bogus, and he explained why in vivid detail. He said, number one, they weren't in the presidential limo, or the beast, as this individual called it in testimony. Number two, they were in a large SUV, and the way it's positioned, he explained the way it was laid out is the president would sit here, facing him is another agent, and then behind that agent is the driver. So for the president to leap forward, grab the driver, and try to choke him because he wanted, or grab the steering wheel, which was reported, he would have to go through, he'd have to leap forward over 4 to 5 feet, get past and go right through or over another agent, then over the second agent to reach to the wheel and try to turn it while he's choking it with the other arm. And basically what this Secret Service agent said is that's impossible. This didn't happen, couldn't happen. And the agents who were assigned and on duty with him that day say it didn't happen. But boy, the press, and even some Republicans and conservative reporters are jumping on that. Yeah, he was out of control. This proves that he was behind the riots. And I don't know. It just seems like a lot of hullabaloo to me, compared to other things that we have on our plate or things that have happened. The only person that died, I'm going to say it again, I've said it before on this show, the only person that died January 6th was an unarmed woman who was trying to push her way into the inner sanctum of the Capitol building. And that officer was cleared of any wrongdoing, and it was just shut down and brushed aside. And that's it. That's the only death that day. Were there things that happened that shouldn't have? Were there people who probably should go to jail for breaking windows or whatever? Yeah, probably. But nowhere near the damage that was done by the Black Lives Matter or Antifa riots a year before, 2 years before. And we have so many bigger fish to fry as a country. Obviously it's a political theater thing that the Democrats are doing. And again, I'm not a Republican, I'm an independent conservative, but I would just love to see us maybe deal with what matters right now most, things that really, instead of trying to go back and impeach the president a third time, he's not even the president anymore. It's crazy. They're trying to scare him out of running, but I don't think he scares easily, so we'll see how that works out. Curious as to your opinion out there, ponderers. Do you think President Trump will run for another term? And do you think he should? Do you think that Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who's probably the first place choice for some, second place for many, second best option to run for president, do you think he should run instead? Do you think he should run as President Trump's vice president? Some have said that. Curious as to your thoughts. Personally, I think that the president is going to run again. I don't think it matters what we think, whether he should or not. He will, and I don't think Ron DeSantis should run as his running mate. I think if the president runs, rather than split the loyalty of not just the party but conservatives and independents, I think he should wait. He's young enough. He's got plenty of time to run in the next election, and let things play out. I don't think President Trump will have a problem winning. Some people think he would. He will. I don't think so. Okay, what else here? The abortion backlash, emotional, rioting or protesting continues after the Roe v. Wade decision. We're going to be split. Some states saying no to abortion completely, some saying yes completely, like Connecticut has and New York has. Some trying to draw a line somewhere in the middle, saying yes to abortion in certain cases or within certain time periods. And so the idea that abortion is just shut down completely is not true. Now, some women would argue, well, if you're impoverished, you can't afford to travel across the state to go to another state or across the country. But we have now, I think it's New York, is even offering women free plane fare and hotels to come to New York to get an abortion. We are so passionate about killing babies that we will pay people to transport them across the country to come and do it. Isn't that sick? I'm sorry, it's just sick and sad, all rolled into one. But the divide in our country is widening, and one has to wonder, where is this going to end? I don't think it's just going to end with abortion, a disagreement over abortion. There are many other things that it could impact. And I just find it telling how angry and violently angry people get about being told, no, we don't want you to kill your baby. It should tell us who's behind this, shouldn't it? Jesus said that Satan comes to kill and destroy. And so when people get red in the face, screaming, veins bulging out, when state governments step up and say, we'll spend millions of dollars if necessary to transport women across the country to kill their child, that just tells you, it should tell you, that this is not rational, it's not human, this is a spiritual thing, and it's driven by the enemy himself, clearly. So, yeah, sad stuff. We'll see how these things play out in the months ahead. We are, as a family, excited about the fact that we're going to be taking some time off. So I guess I should tell you that now, that there'll be a little break here in the Pondering schedule. We leave on Tuesday morning Monday. We're leaving Monday for kind of an extended camping trip / vacation. We'll do a little work in there too, but mostly vacation, which will put us probably through until about the 23rd or 24th. So we will be short pondering on the 9th, the 16th, and probably the 23rd, the next 3 weeks. I'm sorry, those are the wrong dates. I'm looking at June. The 7th, the 14th, and the 21st of July, we will not have pondering, but we'll be back after that, and we should be able to keep up with a pretty regular schedule from there forward. Certainly, though, you can still write to us, you can comment, you can leave voicemail for us. We'd love to hear from you. Again, you can call 860-500-7163. You can email Joel at lifewaych.com. You have all kinds of options in front of you. You can go to Facebook, the Pondering Radio page, and post your comments and thoughts, and I might even be able to respond to some of those, even while I'm away. What a concept. But however it happens, we would love to stay in touch with you, even while we're oot and a boot, as my Canadian wife would say. All right. Let's see. So those are most of the things that are kind of cranking in the news. Do a little pitch here for Sunday, and we'll probably wrap up here in a minute. I'm going to be speaking this Sunday at Lifeway Church, 2172 Berlin Turnpike in Newington. We have a 9:30 and 11 a.m. They are the same. the services, the content, music, it's the same deal. So whichever works best for you. You can also join us live on the Lifeway Church Newington Facebook page, or you can listen or watch on demand on our YouTube channel, Lifeway Church Newington. I'll be speaking Sunday about real humility and one of the radical teachings of Jesus that's so counterculture in our world, where we're told to stand up and believe in yourself and fight for yourself and take care of number one, and learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all, and be proud of yourself. And I was watching. I guess I was watching. Have you seen these ads at the pumps? Where you're pumping your gas, and there's little TV video vignettes that come up, commercials. There's one from what's her name, Munoz. She used to be on Entertainment Tonight, I think, and she's talking about the key to happiness and having success is to high five yourself in the mirror once a day for 5 days straight. And I'm listening to this, I'm laughing for so many reasons, but my first comment was, yeah, well, you won't be happy when your wife sees handprints on the mirror in the bathroom. That fingerprints on the mirror is not going to make anybody happy. But yeah, I have to say, I think Jesus would beg to differ that the key to happiness in life is telling yourself you're amazing, high-fiving yourself, loving yourself more, etc. Rather, he would suggest just the opposite. And we're going to talk about the analogy or parable he spoke about the tax collector versus the Pharisee who came to pray. And the Pharisee is talking about how he's glad he's not like these other people. He's good, he serves, and he tithes, and he does this. He's giving God his resume, his list of accomplishments. And then the tax collector just won't even look up. He just looks down and he says, God, please be merciful to me. I'm a sinner. And Jesus says that guy, the humble man who recognizes his need for mercy, is the one who goes back to his home justified after his time of prayer. There's a lot of lessons there, a lot to think about. And I would argue this, that the more we're aware of God, the more we understand who he is, his nature, his being, his perfection, his love, his mercy, his justice, his power, his truth, then the more humble we are. When you fly close to the flame, you can't help but be burned, right? When we get close to God, we recognize our sinfulness. We don't brag. We're not comparing ourselves to everybody else and saying, oh, well, it's too bad you can't be like me. I am the personification of theological perfection. No, that doesn't happen when you get close to God, because every prophet, every leader, everyone in the Scripture, Old and New Testament, who had an encounter with God in a powerful, real, tangible way, immediately said things like, God, please, I'm a man of unclean lips, please go away from me, or oh, I'm going to die, I'm going to perish. Why? Because we become aware, in contrast to him, that we need forgiveness. And that humble, contrite spirit leads to repentance, which leads to, yes, good works and good deeds, like the Pharisees listing, but for the right reason, not because we're trying to earn something, but because we're responding to God's mercy and love, knowing full well we don't deserve it. It changes everything. And it makes us wonderful to deal with, loving, willing to be merciful and forgiving to others, a whole slew of things. So we're going to talk a lot about that Sunday. We hope you'll join us. Again, 9:30 or 11 a.m., 2172 Berlin Turnpike, or at lifewaych.com, or at the Lifeway Church Facebook page, or later on demand at the Lifeway Church Newington YouTube channel. All right, I guess that's good for now. Listen, love you guys, appreciate you. Thank you for joining us on Pondering, and we will not be back next week, but we will be back in 3 weeks. Hold this time, and hey, keep on pondering. Whatever you do, don't stop that. Keep on pondering. Bye for now.